So the question I want to start off with you is, first is, you're about to graduate. What's your biggest financial concern?
I would say probably paying off student debt.
Yeah.
That would be my biggest financial concern.
And do you have like a strategy, some ideas, some game plan?
I just anticipate when I start working full-time that I'll start aggressively paying it back. So,
and I suspect you're in job searching mode right now?
Yes, I am.
Okay. Do you consider yourself financially literate?
Yes, I think so.
If you had to give some money, what is the greatest money advice you've been given?
What is the greatest money advice that I've been given?
Or what do you follow for yourself?
Probably not buying things that I can't afford, like using facilities such as credit.
Right.
For expensive things. Maybe when I was younger I did that, but now I'm.
So when you go shopping, you tend to use credit cards, debit cards, or cash?
I usually use credit cards, but then I pay it back because of the point system.
Okay.
I'm a points person.
That's good, yeah. Well, I always say to people that credit cards are not necessarily bad, because if you can self-monitor, and I'm getting the feeling that perhaps you can, meaning that you can control yourself and you know what you should be buying, what you shouldn't be buying, then it can be actually a really good tool, because then you get all those points and rewards that are really beneficial to whoever is using it. I think the companies tend to go after people who, you get the card, and if you can't self-monitor, then you get in trouble, and then the points really can't compensate for the interest that you're paying on not being able to pay off your debt. So that's good. So if there's one piece of advice you can give first years, because you're a fourth year, and you've gone through the process, one piece of money advice you think you can give a first year student when they're just starting out that they should do, so by the time they get to your stage, they'll be okay-ish at least?
I would say probably, like I said before, just don't buy what you don't need. Like, don't spend it just because it's nice or whatever. I know it takes a lot of self-discipline, but also, like, even with OSAP, they usually give you a lot more money than you need. Like, if you can, just don't take the loan money, just take the grant money, so that you're not spending excessively and then have all this debt.
You don't have the temptation to spend.
Exactly. If you don't have it, you can't spend it.
That's true. So have you always been this financially sound of mind?
Yeah, since I was younger, I was really? Pretty into, saving a lot. So I created those habits, and then I worked at TD from when I was 18, 3 years. So then I learned a lot. I was in financial services. I was a teller and then financial services. So I got a lot of experience seeing how people manage their money and who are the ones that are saving the most money. And it's not necessarily the ones that actually make the most. It's just...
I'm glad you said that, yeah.
The ones that are more disciplined. Like, a lot of people that maybe worked in factories, minimum wage, had more money than households that have over $100,000.
Yeah.
So
your earning capacity doesn't always reflect in your savings, right? Yeah. Because it depends on the lifestyle that you want to have.
Exactly. And even I learned when I started working at the bank, it was like it was a big jump in my financial situation. I did start spending a lot more, but then now I'm like much more controlled because I had those resources available to me. But now I realize, like, it doesn't matter. It's about this book I read. I can't remember what it was. It was like, it's not about how much you make, it's how much you save. That's what your income is. It's not.
Yeah. That's really good. So the follow-up question to that was, where does that come from? So you said you read a book, but that innate discipline that you have, is it like a personal thing, or like, your environment you grew up with? Was like a parent influence, or a friend, or a family member?
I think it's a mixture of both, but I think I have two sisters. I would be, even though I'm the middle, like, I would be more financially literate.
Sound of mind.
Exactly, sound of mind than both of them, but is like, since I was younger, I just always wanted to save money.
So it's a personality trait that you have.
But I grew up with my grandparents, so my grandfather, he came here from Guyana, actually.
I'm from Trinidad, the West Indian connection.
So he actually ended up, like, back whenever he came here, buying a house. and in paying it off in like, I think it was like 15 years, like, and hearing stories about how my grandma wouldn't even buy a Sprite for like how much ever cents. Like they would wait till they get home. And I'm not that extreme by any means.
Those stories, and just listening to those stories and being around your grandparents obviously will have an impact in forming your young mind at that stage. Did your sister spend time there too, or was it just you?
It was all three of us,
but you somehow got it. They didn't so much?
They're more, I guess, because also
I hope your sisters
they're not watching.
Your sisters don't listen to what you say. It's like, it's for CCR, so don't worry.
Basically with them, it was just, I think, a matter of when we were younger, we didn't get spoiled at all. Okay. And then like my sister, she graduated here too, and she's doing her master's now, and she works with the city. And then she had like, I guess, all this money, and she's just like, well, I'm gonna treat myself, because I never felt like that before.
Right.
And I completely understand that, but I kind of started a little bit earlier. Like I always had a job since I was in high school. She started when she was 18. Right. So like the paths are just different, I guess.
So I think you're a good example when I always say that finance sometimes is not about the numbers, and really it's about the behavior. And somehow you have managed to learn very early on the simple discipline of spending less than you make, or saving more than you spend. And that's the simple recipe for financial success.
Exactly.
That's the starting platform. And if you're not able to do that, then everything else is just you're building a house on a bed of sand. As sand, because it's as simple as that. And of course the components can get complicated, like where you save how much, what you're going to invest in, and all of that. That's a completely different topic. But if you don't even have the attitude or the understanding that this is what you need to do, then all those other things are not going to be useful to you, right?
Exactly. And I think also being at the bank exposed me to a lot of people's situations, and being able, like for instance, employee profit sharing and like selling people mutual funds, it made me really have to get an understanding and a grasp of different investment facilities. So that really helped me. And also like when I saw how much I could make by like the employee profit sharing, the matching it, I'm like, it makes sense to do the maximum, right?
Right. And this is something that if you're starting off and you're a young new employee, these are the building blocks that you need to understand, that certain things you can take advantage of that will help leverage your financial growth as you move up the corporate ladder, as it were. So you said you were selling mutual funds?
Yes.
What are your thoughts on mutual funds?
It really honestly depends on the person. I'm very risk tolerant, so I'm very confident.
You are?
Yeah. Okay. So I don't, like, even I made some investments in like the wheat stocks, and I didn't do my research too much about it. Like I didn't invest a lot. It was like, I think it was like 2000. You bought mutual funds or like a stock? Stock.
Okay.
Like with I did 3 different companies, but I didn't do a lot of research on it. And with that money, I was like, okay, if I lose it, I lose it. Like I don't really care. But I think mutual funds are a better choice for people who don't really have the time to, I probably should have maybe like invested in the sector or something like that. But for mutual funds, it really depends on how long their time horizon. My personal experience with mutual funds is that they always like go up, like the trends that I looked at in the past. And I know past performance isn't indicative of future performance, but I'm comfortable in like the financial sector or whatever. So I feel like it's a good tool, but I think for other people who maybe are concerned about fluctuation and that type of thing, they could, invest in bonds or GICs, but those returns are pretty modest. Yeah. But it all depends on, honestly, I guess, like full disclosure to clients, and like learning about it yourself and doing your own research a little bit, at least in the beginning. But people have different experiences. A lot of people say they lose money from mutual funds, but you don't realize a loss until you actually take it out. It's because it's down.
Right.
Like my stocks my stocks are all down, but I'm not going to take it out right now because I, 1, don't care about the money, and 2, like I'm waiting to see if it will go back up, and if I lose it, then I lose it.
So you made 2 really essential points. One is that you understood your risk tolerance, and that is really crucial when someone is investing. And the second thing is, that you're gambling.
It's like,
right?
it's just like gambling,
You know that
right?
you're gambling. And I always tell people, if you enter the stock market, whether you buy mutual funds or you buy a stock, be prepared to lose that money. And if you're comfortable financially and psychologically to lose that money, then you're good to go. Otherwise, it's not a place for you.
Exactly.